Teresa Tomeo
Yay!
is on the air with us.
All right.
Always a big celebration here at Morning Offering when Teresa joins us. Good morning, Teresa.
Bonanno, Happy New Year.
Happy New
How
Year
are
to
you,
you.
sir?
Great.
Good.
Good.
What
Exciting
is
time.
going on with Teresa Tomeo? We know that
Yeah.
our shores are graced with you right now. You're here in our country, nearby, in fact. But what is going on with you as this new year begins?
Well, it's a busy start of the new year for me because I'm in the midst of almost finished with a brand new book, my second Italy book, which God willing will come out in June. This one dedicated to the life of the amazing St. Francis, because although the Holy Father closed the Holy Doors in the Jubilee year last night in Rome, we are now in the official year of St. Francis in the church, marking in October 800 years of the saint's passing. So the book is dedicated to the life of St. Francis, and we're going to be going to sacred spaces and fascinating places in his life, a lot of places that people don't visit but are very important. So making my way through the manuscript. It's due next Wednesday, so please keep me in prayer. And then, God willing, in March, we are, speaking of St. Francis, heading over to Assisi for a couple of weeks because we have that big event going on with the relics being removed from the crypt and then being placed on the altar for public veneration for only a month. So it is filling up. I just wanted to let people know we've got people from Texas, we've got people from Michigan, so people from Louisiana signed up so far, but it's a small group. Only 30 people we're taking. We have the tickets for the veneration event. But please, if you're interested, check out my Facebook page and also my website because it's filling up, and we still have that $500 discount per person. We've extended it, so that's great news. Busy time though for me.
I want to say this: you got Michigan going. OHIO, let's represent as well. You know, come on, get on the stick. I want to ask you this about St. Francis, Teresa. This year, and tell us a little bit more about that from the church's perspective. We're honoring this wonderful, incredible saint who has given so much to the church. Is that a normal thing? Do we do that? Do we find an individual saint being proclaimed as the one we're looking at on a regular basis?
No, we've done that before. As a matter of fact, several years ago on the 500th anniversary of the passing of St. Teresa of Avila, Steve Ray and I did a beautiful pilgrimage to Spain for her, which was phenomenal for me, especially because she's my patron. So, yes, occasionally the church does do that. And I think it's similar, I would say, and I'm not sure about the actual process when I make these decisions, but we pick certain saints. The church will pray and study certain saints to receive the title of Doctor of the Church. So in a special way, I think this is similar because they're highlighting the fact that this saint, this particular saint, whether it's St. Teresa, whether it's St. Francis, has given so much to the faith that they're worth really spending time contemplating and looking at their life. And, you know, the more I write about him and living right near where he was, you know, born and raised and died and ministered, it's pretty incredible how much he accomplished in such a short period of time. He was very young when he died, and the conditions in which he lived are just, we can't even comprehend that. I just wrote the chapter on the Hermitage above Assisi yesterday and thinking about, you know, and Greccio, the Hermitage of Greccio, where he did the first creche. I mean, they slept on stones. I mean, we think it's rough when we have to go to a hotel that doesn't have cable. You know, my husband always sees it. Like, my idea of roughing it is a hotel without, you know, room service and cable. But it's just so important for us to look at what they did at the time they did it and how much they accomplished. So there's all kinds of events going on in Italy across the year, starting with the relics in February and March. It's 1 month, so it starts February 22nd and ends March 22nd. And then throughout the year, there are going to be special events and offering different types of retreats, but really exciting time for the church. I love St. Francis. I've gotten to know him so much more since we moved to Italy part-time.
Teresa, for you, because I think we kind of, as a whole, a lot of times kind of dumb down St. Francis and just make him about the animals, you know, but he's so much more than that. So for you, what has been the one thing that you look to for him and you say, boy, this is something people don't know about him and need to know?
That is a really important question. I'm trying to bring that out in the book, Pat. So two things for me would be his love for the incarnational Lord and the Eucharist, and also the way he always sought out silence. And the places that he went to, as far as he went, for example, Greccio, where he established the Christmas creche. He had been there before, which is in northern Lazio in central Italy, witnessing to the people, preaching and praying there. And then you look also at Laverna, where he received the stigmata over in Tuscany shortly before he died, or the Hermitage, the Aremo Hermitage in Assisi. These places are so far off, even though right now in today's standards they're closer to these cities, but still when you get up to these places you realize how hard it was years ago. how he constantly sought silence and time with God. And we see all these New Year's resolutions right now. Not that any of them are bad. For example, people wanting to be healthy, people wanting to reduce the clutter, they want to do more reading. I find that's great. But how much are we emphasizing having that time with God and that silence? And that's the thing that's hard for me and Dominic to adjust to when we come back, because we live in a little tiny, tiny medieval village in the middle of the country. We're like 10 minutes away from conveniences because Italy is a modern country. But the peace that we have there, and when we come home to Metro Detroit, and I love my home in Metro Detroit, I love my archdiocese, but it's so noisy compared to living in central Italy and the peace and quiet. So for me, also appreciating the Eucharist more. And he wasn't just someone, they say, well, he rebuilt the church spiritually. No, he actually went around rebuilding churches in his day in the 13th century, because many of them were, as Jesus told him from the San Damiano cross, crumbling. Literally, they were in ruins because they didn't have the money and because of all the warring factors that was going on. A lot of the churches were closing. And so he physically and spiritually rebuilt the church. So I think those are the two main things, appreciation for the Eucharist and appreciation for a silent time with God.
I love that. And the idea, and I think, isn't he given credit for being the first to kind of bring about what they call the mendicant orders, to stepping away from just pure monasticism to serve the Lord?
Yes, like absolutely. And he did a lot of that, too. And there's so much, it's hard to, I'm trying to put everything into one book, but it's
right.
It's quite a challenge. But as you said, Pat, I think so many of us put him in this box as, let's say, an environmentalist, which I guess you could say in his day was an environmentalist because he wanted people to respect creation. But why did he want people to do that? He wanted people to do that because creation reflects God. Even if you read closely the Canticles of the Sun, it talks about starting out praising the Lord. Everything is about praising God, for people to look at God's creation. So, there's so much to that. And, he gave us so many things and so many things that we repeat, for example, during adoration and other times in our prayer life. So a lot to take in for.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teresa. TeresaTomeo.com.
Thanks, Teresa.